Welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. Today we have an incredible journey of hope to share with you. I'm your host, Anthony Dahya, and I'm so grateful that you're here listening or watching this episode. Would love for you to share this episode with your friends, family, and workmates. And if you haven't already done so, please follow this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes and we can get this podcast out to the wider community. Today it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to this interview. Today's guest is Elizabeth Meigs. Elizabeth is an inspirational speaker, transformational coach, dedicated to empowering individuals on their wellness journey. Guided by the transformative power of hope, she fosters healing that opens pathways of empowerment. Elizabeth's journey is nothing short of miraculous. As a teenager, she overcame a near-fatal car accident and developed powerful strategies for recovery and growth. Her resilience and strength were further refined after escaping a toxic relationship where she gained clarity, purpose through her faith in God. And specializing in post-trauma recovery, Elizabeth is an expert problem solver. She channels her hard-earned wisdom into helping clients turn their passions into purpose, leading them to live a life filled with joy, peace, and freedom. Elizabeth believes that everyone has the potential to chase their dreams and to make them a reality. She offers her insights and support to others to help others their way faster, proving that together we are stronger. Absolutely. Let's welcome Elizabeth to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I'm excited to be here today and get to share some of these strategies with your audience.
Thank you. Elizabeth, let's start with a little bit of a recap summary from your childhood leading up to this point. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey in life from that time?
Yes. So at the age of 14, I was chasing my dreams of becoming a country music singing star. I was known for my voice, had been singing and performing for over half my life. Everybody knew I was going places, and my voice teacher had actually arranged for me to be in a recording studio with me, just plans of moving to Nashville as soon as I graduated high school. Everyone wanted to be my friend, and my life was easy. Then one week into my freshman year of high school, we were traveling down a rural 2-lane highway when all of a sudden we were struck from behind. This sent our vehicle into a tailspin, which then proceeded to barrel roll multiple times until we finally landed in a field on the opposite side of the highway. With every roll, my head was at the point of impact. EMTs would arrive on the scene and had to cut me from the vehicle. I then had to be resuscitated multiple times at the scene. I was life flighted to the nearest trauma center because the rural hospital where I was taken was not equipped to meet any of my medical needs. My parents and my family, when they arrived at the trauma center, would receive a very dim prognosis. I was given less than a 25% survival rate. And the neurosurgeon would inform my family that I had suffered a traumatic brain injury. My brain was swelling rapidly, and he would let them know that I needed to be placed in a drug-induced coma to allow my brain and my body the best chance of survival. My parents didn't know what to do. A lot of prayers. We had a prayer chain going worldwide. I would remain in this coma for 3 weeks, touch and go the first 48 to 72 hours. But when I finally awoke after those 3 weeks, I was essentially reduced to that of an infant. I couldn't do anything for myself. I had to rely on someone to help me with absolutely everything. I was no longer that independent 14-year-old girl chasing her dreams. I couldn't speak, so I would answer questions by squeezing my right hand or blinking my left eye. I would be in intensive hospitals and rehabs for a total of 3 months. And then I would get back home and into school where that's when I realized the life I knew was absolutely over and nothing would ever be the same again.
Mm,
Once once I got back into school, my friends' lives had gone on. I still had to do therapy after school every day of the week for years. Schoolwork was so much more difficult. We had to hire tutors to get me caught up and keep me caught up with my classes. I would come home from school multiple days a week and tell my parents that I should have died, I wish I was dead, and I want to kill myself. I dealt with judgment and I dealt with rejection from people that would see something physically wrong with me, not knowing of the accident or knowing me before, that would decide that I wasn't worth their time. I found myself down on my knees crying out to God, asking him why he did this to me and what did I do to deserve this. But that's when I actually received an answer. And this answer would come in the form of a voice on my heart. And this voice would bring me the only comfort and peace that I would receive for almost a decade. And it would say, I have a plan for you. You can't stop. You have to keep going. I knew that that was my higher power, God, and I knew that I couldn't stop because what I was going through, I wouldn't have wished on a single soul. And I knew one day I was going to need to be for someone else exactly what I needed in that moment. I didn't
mm,
know how and I didn't know when, but I had to figure it out.
mm. Wow. What a journey. That would have been so difficult. The one minute you're flourishing, you're into your music, your singing career and so on, and then next minute you're in this state after an accident. What was your first thought after you became conscious?
I was very, very cranky when I was in the hospitals because I wasn't sleeping good at night. Any little bit of noise would disturb me. So I just remember I have to get back to walking. But working with therapy, if I hadn't slept good the night before, if my family was in the room and I was trying to sleep, I would send them out. I wasn't the best patient, but
Mm,
I just I knew I couldn't stop. I had to keep going. I don't necessarily remember the first thought until I made it back home and back
mm,
into school.
mm, mm. So, Elizabeth, can you share how that pivotal moment shaped your approach to overcoming adversity and finding purpose in your life?
After God spoke to me, I knew that had I had someone in my life that had been through what I was going through when I was going through it, that would have helped me so much. But I didn't have that. So I learned to turn to the only one that did know what I was going through, and that was God. I had to believe in a greater good. I had to begin walking by faith and not by sight.
Mm,
After he spoke to me, no matter what had happened during the day, I began going to bed every night with a thankful and grateful heart, praying to God, thanking Him for my life, thanking Him for my blessings, asking Him to lead me and to help me to make the right choices so that I could do His will with my life.
yeah, totally. Wow. You mentioned in your bio, when we chatted previously, that you escaped toxic relationship, which was a significant part of your healing process. What strategies or insights did you gain during this period that now know you can use to help other people in similar situations?
Well, the strategies that I had developed recovering from the car accident had built up my confidence to know that I had a purpose and God had a plan for my life. So every time I was being broken down and told that the dreams on my heart wouldn't come true, I knew better because God's voice was a promise to me that he did have a plan for my life. So I began going to him every night again in prayer and just help me through this, help me to see the way, your way. I know that you have a plan for me. You're not going to allow my significant other to stop me. I had to keep pushing. By that time, I had learned how to live open to the possibilities because of the strategies I had developed as a teenager. So when a door would open, I knew that I needed to walk through it. And the fact that I continued to move through the challenges I was facing, through not being supported, through being discouraged, the fact that I continued to move, I was always met halfway to get me to where I needed to be.
Wow. And how long were you in that toxic relationship for?
2.5 years.
Mm,
Marriage was 2.5. It was 3.5 total.
yeah. So let's discuss the concept of hope, HOPE, healing that opens pathways for empowerment, which is quite central in your work. Could you give us a little bit more information on how this concept guides your coaching and speaking of engagements?
So God's voice on my heart was my hope. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope in the future." His voice was the hope that I needed that would keep me going. I now have gained clarity over the last year, or more than the last year. He's brought me clarity that I was chosen to be his messenger, to be that voice of hope for others who don't hear God's voice or don't feel it on their heart. And the healing, my strategies, they work to be able to help build you up. So no matter what it is you're going through, if it's recovery from a car accident, if it's trauma from toxic people surrounding you, whatever it is, my strategies work to build up your confidence so that you can begin learning to let go, begin living open to the possibilities and realizing that those external voices, they're here to stop you, but you don't have to listen to them. Keep moving. Those dreams, those goals placed on your heart, each and every one of you have everything you need to make them come true.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all have a purpose, and finding that purpose is so important, and not letting anything deviate you from that. And it's so important to find that within yourself, not externally, but within yourself. And yeah, totally agree with you. So turning trauma into triumph often involves redefining one's dreams and goals. How did your personal vision change as a result of the challenges you faced? And what advice would you give others who need to realign their goals after experiencing setbacks? So how did the personal vision change as a result of the challenges you faced? And what advice would you give others to realign their goals after experiencing setbacks?
So my vision changed because before the accident, I was going to be a singer. I learned how to connect through music with my audience. I didn't know what that plan was for me when I was a teenager, but as I continued moving through the challenges, through the struggles that I was facing, through the difficulties, I grew into the person that I needed to be. And learning how to live open to the possibilities, I got to where I needed to be. I started speaking on a stage, well, sharing my story with my patients working as an occupational therapist first. That's when I saw the power behind my story. And then 5 years later, when I found a church and I began getting up on a stage giving my testimony, that's when I saw the true impact. when you continue to move through the challenges, you are going to see the light. You are going to get confirmation in little ways that let you know you're on the right track. I learned how to hold on to those positive moments of confirmation, and I held them close so that I could always remember them when I was being faced with another setback that would push me through it. The
Mm,
advice I have for all of you out there: chase your passions. Your passions align with your purpose. You may not have any idea how those passions are going to become your purpose, but if you continue pursuing those passions, you're going to find a way. A way will be made.
I totally agree with you there. The theme of this podcast is all around discovering your potential and unleashing your potential. And as you, absolutely, as you follow your passions, that will automatically turn into your purpose.
Yes.
And do what you're passionate about, do what excites you, and do it until you can't take it any further. And then God will give you, the universe will give you the next
Exactly.
steps. You don't need to know, you don't need to know all the steps to get there. You just have to have a vision
Yep.
and take the first step. Yeah. And
Trusting.
yeah. And remember, for you, people that are listening, the setbacks are actually setups for our future comebacks. And so we must go through these challenges to become the version of us that we need to become to be able to fulfill that purpose in our life.
I like to say it's the challenges that make the victory so much sweeter once you finally break through.
Mm,
Nothing worth doing ever comes easy,
no,
but as you continue to push through and find a way, that's when you're going to be rewarded beyond your wildest dreams.
absolutely agree, Elizabeth. Your faith has played quite a significant role in your journey. How has your spiritual life influenced your approach to resilience and helping others?
So, like going back to God's voice on my heart, that was my hope. That I learned how to embrace the mystery in the journey, but keep pushing forward. Every challenge that I faced as I've grown stronger and closer to my purpose, learning how to tap into my inner spirit of resilience that each and every single one of us have. As I've learned to tap into that, I get confirmation, I get clarity, I get divine downloads on the exact message that I need to be giving, that I was chosen for, and exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And it shapes everything I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, someone who's helped numerous individuals so far through your post-trauma recovery, what are the most common barriers or misconceptions that you encounter, and how do you address them with your work?
The people that I've been working with, they don't have confidence because they've either been broken down by someone in their life and continue to be manipulated. The fact that they come to me, I give them the support and I let them know that they are strong enough to get through this.
Mm,
I help them to be able to gain clarity on the situation so that they can become more aware and be able to build themselves back up, learning the strategies that will help boost their confidence so that they can find their own way out.
mm. You talk about strategies, Elizabeth. What are some of the practical strategies or exercises that you recommend for someone who's currently struggling with a major life challenge and is feeling stuck in their journey of recovery?
So the first one is just believing in the greater good. I can tell you, I have so many stories from the last 24 years of my life that what I thought was a setback and a challenge that I wasn't going to get through
Mm,
has always turn out for the greater good. So believing in that greater good, believing in your higher power, that's number one. Practicing gratitude. That was every night before I went to bed. I knew that I shouldn't be here on this earth anymore. So I knew his plan for me must have been pretty big for me to still be here on this earth. So I needed to thank him for that. Because it's that plan, my purpose, that's what fuels me. That's what keeps me going. That's what builds me up so that when I'm faced with setbacks, it doesn't stop me. And each and every single one of you have that power within you, have that inner spirit of resilience within you. And once you can learn to tap into that, that's when you're going to become unstoppable, just as I have. The way
Mm,
you're going to be able to turn your impossible into I'm possible.
absolutely. Yep. We are all possible and we are all destined for greatness. And we must champion our lives and become responsible and take the pilot's seat and move forward. And no matter what comes at you, just keep moving forward. Yeah, absolutely. Can you share a particular memorable success story with your work with your clients where someone transformed their life through principles and strategies that you use or advocate?
Yes, I've had women that have been in toxic relationships, and as they've worked with me, they've been able to gain clarity on how those relationships have been trying to shut them down, make them feel like they aren't good enough. And the fact that they have someone in their corner to lift them up, they're becoming more aware. They are gaining the confidence that they needed to be able to get out, to get back to living their lives for themselves instead of being at someone else's beck and call, someone else controlling them and just trying to bend them to their will.
Mm, mm, true. So, in your experience, how does the role of mentorship play in personal growth and recovery? And how do individuals find their mentors to support them on their journey?
For me, I've been very blessed that people have been placed into my life that have been where I once was, and I could go to them for guidance, tips, and strategies to be able to get to where they are now. So
Mm,
always looking up to someone that has been where you currently are, that's going to give you a shortcut. So find someone, if someone you know in your life has a part of their story that you can relate to, go to them. Let it be someone that supports you and lifts you up, because if you're being broken down in any part of your life, whether it's internal voices or external voices, being able to find that support that lifts you up, that's going to help you to gain your confidence. And that's going to kind of even out the areas that break you down while the other people in your life are lifting you up. That's going to give you the strength you need to keep fighting.
mm, mm. And in your journey, uh, like after the accident, how did you do that? Who did you reach out to, and to get you to where you are today?
So after the accident, that was a little different. After the accident, the angels that came into my life were some of my therapists, my mom, my dad, my dad. When I was discouraged or in tears, he had a way and he could always make me laugh. And laughter is the best medicine. So finding those people that when you are feeling down, when you are feeling lower than low, those people that lift you up and see you, that is priceless. Those are blessings and true gifts.
Mm,
Therapists, teachers, those were the people that I turned to that would lift me up and saw me and were support for me
mm,
throughout high school.
mm. What about through that toxic relationships journey, who was there for you? Who did you reach out to get through that as well?
Well, God was bringing people into my life for me to be able to grow my speaking business. And it was actually my business network. Every single person in my business network saw my heart, saw my value, and saw what I had to offer. So if they had a connection or if they had a tip or a strategy to help me to be able to get where I needed to be, they were giving it to me. So as I was being broken down, they were lifting me up. That evened it out to where I wasn't a shell of myself.
Mm, mm. And what was that speaking journey for you like? Um, Obviously, you had to learn how to speak again, and can you share us what was it like getting to that speaking journey?
So after the car accident, I didn't necessarily have to learn to speak again. My voice had to get strong enough for me to be able to speak.
Mm,
Now my neck muscles were affected, so it was not as easy for me to sing. But throughout high school, as I was being judged and rejected, I did get back up on the stage singing. My voice was not anything like it was before, but I was still told that I had a beautiful voice. And when I was up on a stage singing, people saw something that I was good at, and I wasn't being judged. That's why your passions, pursuing your passions, are so important, because if you are being judged or rejected, those passions are going to lift you up. Now, when I found the church where I started giving my testimony, it was just that I was giving my testimony. But then when I got into the marriage and God was aligning me with coaches and other speakers, they were kind of taking me under their wing and teaching me how to outline a talk, teaching me different methods of bringing in income so that I could help so many more people and get to where I'm doing this full time. It's amazing, but just because I continued walking through the doors that were being opened to me, people were being placed in my life to get me where I needed to be.
mm, mm. Wow, that's awesome. So looking ahead, what are some of the projects or initiatives that you're excited about? And how do you envision continuing to make an impact in the realm of post-trauma recovery and empowerment?
Speaking from a stage, that is the most amazing thing. Just that's what fuels me. And then working with my clients, I have a group coaching program. I am on the verge of creating a membership so that my strategies can be that much more accessible to everybody. So once my monthly membership is created, I can't wait. We will do 2 live calls a month while I give you uh, goals and stuff to work on so that you can learn these strategies, build up your confidence, and be able to chase those dreams on your heart, make them become a reality, and find success just as I have.
Mm, yeah, that's awesome. And so if people have been listening or watching this episode and they've been inspired by what you've shared, and they would like to get in touch with you or learn more about your projects and your membership and so on, how can they do that?
Well, you can go to elizabethinspires.com, as you see on my background here. Check out everything I have there. You can scan this QR code and download the Elizabeth Inspires method, which is a 30-second reset. A 30-second reset that can shift the quality of your life and the quality of your results so that you can find success. And you
Mm,
can begin to build that confidence so that you can keep going, keep fighting for what you want in life.
mm. Elizabeth, could you tell us a little bit more about the 30-second reset,
Yes,
please?
so many times I was stuck in a cycle, chaos, confusion, just spinning my wheels. This 30-second reset just kind of helps you to gain perspective, to see that it's the circumstance that you're currently in isn't going to be forever, and just kind of helps you to be able to shift.
That's great. Well, if you've been listening to this, please go and scan that QR code or go to Elizabeth's website at ElizabethInspires, is that right, .com, and check it out. Right. Now we're at the stage where we're going to ask you 5 quick-fire questions. You may choose to answer these with one word or within a sentence. So the first question is, how do you define success, and has that definition changed for you over time?
How do I define success? So success to me is basically just being able to find a way, to be able to pursue my passions and bring joy into my life.
Thank you for that. Who has been your greatest inspiration and why?
My greatest inspiration. The clients that I work with, the people that I'm able to help, my patients, working as an occupational therapist for the last 12 years, they inspire me. I know that I inspire them too, but just the fact that they don't give up and they keep going, that inspires me every day.
Absolutely. Never give up. Keep following your purpose and your passion. Yeah, and you will get there, because that repetition and consistency will build that competence and the confidence in you.
Yeah.
All right. What is something that you believe that others may disagree with?
I know that my higher power God loves us all unconditionally. I've been told over the years by different people into my life that they don't deserve it, or it's not going to work the same way for them. But that's a lie. We all deserve it. I make mistakes frequently, but it's by learning to fail forward and pick yourself up and keep going. He's going to chase after you. And once you begin stepping out of that cycle of doubt, that cycle of uncertainty, and just find the confidence to trust and walk by blind faith, believing in something bigger than yourself, that's when a way is going to be made, just as it has been for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I guess don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. You're gonna find that purpose one day. Keep fighting.
Keep fighting. Absolutely. Yeah. And what is one message you'd like to share with the world?
Always remember that it's the challenges that make the breakthrough. The victory is so much sweeter once you finally break through. These challenges aren't meant to stop you. They're meant to help you to shift and learn how to grow and evolve through them. And the more you start doing that, the easier it's going to get.
Totally. Totally. And if you've been watching this episode and you've been inspired, you've got some insights out of this, and you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to contact Elizabeth. Scan the QR code, go visit Elizabeth at elizabethinspires.com, and get curious about what your passion is. And if you're not sure, just get curious. What do you enjoy? What is something that you would do? You would get out of bed, but if you weren't getting paid for it, but you would do that every single day, that you'd jump out of bed for. And for me, it's at this podcast, doing these podcast interviews, I jump out of bed to get here in time to be able to meet with Elizabeth and interview her on this podcast. And for me, I have a passion and a goal that this podcast is going to reach the world and and help people, inspire people. And so, you know, I encourage you, if there's something that you're really good at, or even if you're not good at, but you could apply yourself and learn, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to start. Once you start, God, universe will give you next steps. It's like walking through that door. I have this analogy that life is like an automatic door. You've got to walk up to the sensor. You've got to take that first step. If you don't walk up to the sensor, the door will not open. So if you've been sitting there going, well, I'll do this one day, and when this happens or that happens, that will never happen. It will never come. You've got to take that first step. I encourage you, take that first step. You owe it to yourself to take that first step. And even if it's scary, just do it anyway. Because you know what? Outside your comfort zone is where all your purposes and all that amazing stuff that's really waiting for you. When you're in your comfort zone, that's when your dreams die.
Yeah.
So step out of your comfort zones and embrace your dreams and embrace what you're created for. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us today. It's been an amazing interview with you to learn more, and we'd love to bring you back to talk about some other topics in the future. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So if you haven't already done so, please follow this podcast and so you don't miss any future episodes, and we can get this podcast out to the wider community. And I would like to remind you to champion your life and champion your greatness. And remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are enough. So follow your dreams, get out there and change the world. Because you can change the world. Thank you for joining us today. Have an amazing day.